Okay, episode number 1, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is an exciting episode. Bushsavvy is something that, in my mind, I have been jockeying around with for a long time. I've thought long and hard about what I want Bushsavvy to kind of be, where I want it to go, and ultimately, I just had to get started. I just want to get this thing out there and get it into space because it is an experiment on my part. Bushsavvy is going to be an in-depth look at a whole bunch of different things. It's going to shine a light on people that I think are really interesting. We're going to talk hunting. We're going to talk life. We're going to talk work. We're going to talk all kinds of things. We're going to talk about how in the first episode I didn't think to mute my computer so that sounds come through in the middle of it, right? It's going to be a lot of fun, but I wanted to start this episode with perhaps one of the biggest pieces of inspiration for me in building Bushsavvy. Not only that, but one of the biggest pieces of inspiration for me just in life in general. And it's actually a poem. It's a poem that's written by a guy named Robert Service. I love the arts, right? I love literature. I love writing. I love poems. I love artwork, music, all that stuff. And a lot of times I seek inspiration in that stuff. This is a poem that I came across years and years and years ago. Actually, when I was headed to the Yukon for the very first time, I came across this. And when I read it, I can't help but remember it just sparked something in me. It kind of unlocked a wilder side that I've been chasing ever since. This poem to me is just, I don't know, it just kicks ass. So I thought about how I was going to open this first episode up, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and read this poem because it is a massive source of inspiration. So this is called The Men That Don't Fit In, and it's by Robert Service. There's a race of men that don't fit in, a race that can't stay still. So they break the hearts of kith and kin, and they roam the world at will. Theirs is the curse of the gypsy blood, and they don't know how to rest. If they just went straight, they might go far. They're strong and brave and true. But they're always tired of the things that are, and they want the strange and new. They say, could I find my proper groove, what a deep mark I would make. So they chop and change, and each fresh move is only a fresh mistake. And each forgets as he strips and runs with a brilliant and fitful pace. It's the steady, quiet, plodding ones who win in the lifelong race. And each forgets that his youth is fled, forgets that his prime is past, till he stands one day with a hope that's dead in the glare of the truth at last. He has failed, he has missed his chance. He has just done things by half. Life's been a jolly good joke on him, and now's the time to laugh. Ha, he is one of the legion lost. He's never meant to win. He's a rolling stone, and it's bred in the bone. He's a man who won't fit in. That is Robert Service, The Men That Don't Fit In. And that poem, to me, just kicks ass. So why do I start a podcast in 2024 with a poem that was written in the 1800s? Well, here's why. Let's talk a little bit about Robert Service, right? Robert Service is a guy that was born in England way back in the 1870s. He moved to Scotland in the 1890s, and he went to the best schools that he could possibly find that his parents could get him in way back in the 1890s. It's where he fell in love with poetry, it's where he fell in love with literature, but he also fell in love with something else while he was there. He fell in love with a life of adventure. He fell in love with getting out there and just experiencing the world. He caught what I like to call the BeAlive bug, that restless energy, that thirst to get wild. And so in 1894, he said, fuck it. He left Scotland and he sailed to Canada in order to become a cowboy in the wilds of the Yukon. So what's really cool about this guy is that it was his adventures and his acquaintances during the height of the gold rush that fueled his writing. And he's kind of become known as what they call the Bard of the Yukon, which essentially means like the Shakespeare of the Yukon. He wrote about the wild people, the wildly interesting things that they were doing, and the wild times of the gold rush in the backcountry and in the north. And he captured the very essence of what it was like to live that life of adventure. And so to me, Robert Service is Bushsavvy personified. Here's a guy that was able to take his life's lessons. He was able to get out there, to get off the pavement, to find the dirt, to find the grit, and to get into the backcountry and to live life. And he was smart enough to pay attention to the backcountry classroom. And he wrote about it, and he captured it, and he used it for all of us to learn all these years later. So I read this guy's stuff every single time I head into the backcountry. It sets me up, it sets my mind right, and it gets me ready to go into a time and a place that is different, and it's unlike anything that we find back here on pavement. Granted, I may take it to the extreme, but I think that we can all pull some inspiration from stories from guys like Robert Service. So that to me is why I started a podcast in 2024 with a poem written in the 1800s. I think there's a lot of wisdom to be found there. As I mentioned earlier, I've been kicking around Bushsavvy in my head for years and years and years. And so I want to give you a little bit of a backstory on how the term came to be, because Bushsavvy is not exactly a term that you hear in everyday life. So let's talk a little bit about what Bushsavvy actually is. Bushsavvy isn't an action. It's a mindset, but it's a mindset that drives action. It's the ability to say, fuck it, I don't know everything, but I've got the confidence, the determination, the grit, and the willpower to figure it out. So many people over the years have asked me how I became a survival expert. They see me do my thing in the backcountry. They know that I'm out there for an extended period of time. They know that I don't have food. And they automatically assume that I'm some sort of like survival expert. Well, let me tell you this. I am absolutely not a survival expert. I've said that from day one. But what I am is Bushsavvy. It's a term that I heard for the first time when I was about 15 years old. And for me, the term became a key frame in my life. It was a moment that felt innocuous enough at the time, but ended up marking kind of a diversion into a new era of my life. And it really stuck with me. It's sort of been a way of life for me ever since. It's been something that I've been looking forward to. I said to myself, at some point down the line, I want to be able to look back on things that I've done, and I want to say, man, you know what? I am pretty Bushsavvy. The first time that I heard it when I was 15 years old, I heard it from an old man. The guy was literally, he was a bushman. He basically spent his entire life off-grid as much as he possibly could, and he paid attention. He paid attention to the backcountry classroom, the bush classroom, whatever you want to call it, and he learned a lot of life's lessons along the way. And, he brought those to everyday life back on pavement. So the word just stuck with me ever since I heard it for the first time. Bushsavvy means that you're not an expert, but you're crafty enough to figure shit out. Bushsavvy means that you have an insatiable appetite for adventure. Bushsavvy means that you have a wild streak in you, and you're not afraid to let it out. In fact, you have to let it out. But this term Bushsavvy has been driving my life in more ways than one than I ever even really realized. In fact, I've written songs and I've written lyrics that all dance around this subject of answering the call, of releasing your wild side, or else you're going to turn to stone. So it's my mindset on the human experience that makes up our lives. And why now? Well, why now? Because I finally feel like I've got a lot to say. But more importantly, I feel like I've got even more left to learn. And that excites me. There's a lot of wildly interesting people out there doing a lot of wildly interesting shit. And that's what I hope to shine a light on for Bushsavvy. There's an old saying out there that's pretty simple. It goes like this: let go or be dragged. And that's kind of where I'm at with this whole concept and this whole idea of Bushsavvy. I've kicked it around in my brain for so long that I'm finally ready to let it go. So with this first episode, I'm officially letting go of Bushsavvy, and I'm putting it out into the world for you guys to help shape. But creativity to me exists on a spectrum. If the left side of that spectrum is the familiar and the right side of that spectrum is original, I want Bushsavvy to live on the far right of that spectrum. This thing may be unrecognizable at times to people, but I'm going to bring my original outlook on things, my original idea on things. And while some of that stuff might catch on and some of it might not, that's totally fine, because original really is only considered original after the fact. It's easy to do that left side, the recognizable stuff, because that's what we're comfortable doing. But if there's one thing that life off grid has taught me, it's to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And so as I officially let this first episode of Bushsavvy go, I encourage you guys to participate. I encourage you guys to let me know what you think. I want to hear your ideas. I want to hear your thoughts. If you love it, let me know. If you hate it, let me know. Speaking of uncomfortable and letting things go, it is time to introduce my first official guest. But we're going to get to that right after the break. I've got my guest here on set, on location. We're going to bring him in here. We're going to set him down. Got to rearrange some things while we do. And I'm going to make him a little bit of bush coffee as we're rearranging our set. So stay tuned for a quick word here from our sponsors. We're going to rearrange this set, and we will officially welcome the first guest on the first episode of Bushsavvy. Under the visionary leadership of founder Johnny Morris, Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's is leading North America's largest conservation movement. Together with their partners in conservation, they're positively shaping the future of the outdoors through donations, grant making, and advocacy. The 501c3 Outdoor Fund raises funds to support conservation efforts by activating more than 200 million passionate sportsmen and women, rounding up their purchases in Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's stores and online. Visit your local Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's today and round up for conservation. Whether you're hunting, fishing, or camping, or just enjoying the great outdoors, you need gear that can keep up. That's why I trust Grizzly, built tough for every adventure. With unmatched durability and performance, Grizzly products are perfect for your next trip into the wild. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they come with a lifetime warranty. So why settle for anything less? Visit grizzlycoolers.com. Grizzly Coolers, forge your own trail. If you're looking for top-notch precision in your optics, check out Leupold, where clarity meets craftsmanship. And let's not forget, Leupold has the greatest warranty that you will never use. You know, anyone can offer you a lifetime warranty, but guaranteeing performance, that takes some serious dedication and craftsmanship. Leupold optics are tested under the harshest conditions so that you can use them under the harshest conditions. Guaranteed performance when it matters most. Be relentless with Leupold optics. Check out Leupold optics at leupold.com. Are you looking to elevate your outdoor adventure more? Well, then you've got to check out Mountain Ops supplements. Whether you're hunting, hiking, or hitting the gym, Mountain Ops has you covered with top-notch performance-driven products. Their supplements are designed to enhance your endurance, strength, and recovery, keeping you at your peak no matter the challenge. Personally, I've felt the difference. I've got more energy, I've got better focus, and quicker recovery times. So why wait? Head on over to mountainops.com and use the code Keefer for 20% off your order. Mountain Ops, conquer more. When it's all on the line, the only ammunition I can count on is Winchester. For unmatched reliability and trusted performance, whether I'm on the range or in the field, Winchester delivers the precision that I can rely on. That's why I trust the Big Red W. Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Check out Winchester Ammunition at winchester.com. So lastly, I'd like to also give a quick shout out to some other great brands that make what I do possible. Matthews Archery, Tracker Off-Road, Winchester Firearms, and Bushlight.
Take me higher. Over the mountains I go, and carry me so high, I can't feel the weather below.
Okay, we are back here on the first episode of Bushsavvy, and I am extremely excited to announce my first guest ever on the Bushsavvy podcast. He's got an impressive roster of accomplishments, but more importantly, he is a wildly interesting human doing wildly interesting shit. And we're going to get to all that stuff eventually here, but first I'm going to get some accolades out there that I think really matter. So first and foremost, he is a 3-time runner-up in the Brooks Range Gravel Games. If you don't know what the gravel games are, you're going to find out here today. He is a 2-time uncle to my boys, and he is one really pissed off human every time I let go of the first fish I catch on drop when we're starving to death.
It's very true.
Without further ado, I'd like to welcome to Bushsavvy my slightly older but much uglier brother, Chris Keefer.
Well, hello.
Hey,
hello
everybody.
there. Hey, bud. What's going on?
How's she going today?
I didn't know where you're going with that last one either, like really pissed off human. I just thought you were just going to leave it right there. At that one. No.
She had purpose.
No, the fish.
So it's
the first trout. Look at this setup. This is why I couldn't get a coffee this morning. You said you got it.
Look here.
The original the original duct tape Bushsavvy invention here that you have. Look at that.
That thing is seen. I should have showed the inside of it.
This is this is the cup, isn't it? The actual original Brooks Range season 1 of dropped cup with the duct tape on it, which is a good trick, except we stop using these because this sumbitch will burn your lips off.
Magma.
I mean, it'll burn your lips off.
It's like they actually
you can't get to it yet. You gotta wait. The coffee has to go cool, but the cup has to go cooler. Like that cup heats up.
It's like they literally just smelted the cup.
Yeah.
And you're like, here, drink out of it.
Yeah, drink.
You know
Just drink out of it. Like I can handle hot coffee, but the damn cup, you can't get your lips to it.
It's unbelievable. That cup.
Yeah.
I don't know if that cup just says how old we are or how far technology's gone.
I don't know. This is a pretty old thing going on here, but it is solid. This is the original cup. I do like that. The jet boil is a great touch. Nice little cup. This is going to be good coffee, and I really want it right now. So yeah.
It's. I wanted people to kind of get the experience of being around a campfire.
Burn the lips off. Nope.
By the end of the
by the time I'm done, I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee.
We'll drink that on episode 3.
Yeah.
No, it's actually the duct tape. Something I want to point out because is there really anything in life more bush savvy than duct tape?
No, there isn't. I mean, this is
bush chrome.
It is exactly what I mean. There's so many things you can do. What's the saying with the bush savvy?
Yeah. So the saying on there's 2 things you need in life, right? You need duct tape and WD-40.
Yeah.
If it wiggles and it shouldn't, use duct tape. If it should wiggle and it doesn't, use WD-40.
It makes absolute sense.
That's the 2 things that you need.
I love it. I love it. Yeah,
this is Bushchrome.
This is it, man. This is the original cup.
So
we're trying to go lightweight.
Yeah, exactly. Fun fact on me: never been a coffee drinker.
No, you have not.
I just can't do it.
You've never been a coffee drinker.
Nope.
Like out in the bush, you'll drink like randomly.
Yeah.
But like you're not a coffee drinker on a normal basis. I'm like a 1 cup guy a day, like in the morning, fine. But then after that, I can't do it.
Here's the thing. Pretty simple for me. It tastes like shit.
Just there it is. Just there. I got nothing. It just tastes like shit.
I'm at with it. I've yet to find. So I've gone down this path a couple times.
Yeah.
You know, my wife, obviously, Lisa.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, if she
Canadian.
can IV it.
Yeah.
She would IV it.
She's Canadian.
She'd walk around with a drink.
And she drinks it any time of the day, which is amazing to me.
11 p.m. cup of coffee, go to bed.
Sure. Like, that's mind blowing to me.
I don't get it, but I've never been able to. I've told her, all right, I'm on a quest. I'm going to see if I can find a coffee that I like.
Yeah.
I've yet to find one that I like. So there we go.
Yeah.
There's a challenge.
Yeah.
If anybody out there has a go-to coffee that is worthwhile, that I will actually like, send it to me. Tell me what it is. I'll go buy it.
Yeah.
We'll get it on set, and I'll try it.
Yeah. No, I think it's funny. There's times where like you want to be a coffee, like you're trying, you smell it. You're like, oh, that smells so good. And then maybe like, a couple days you're like, no, I can't do it.
I can't.
Yeah. No, there's something about a good cup of coffee, but again, it's gotta be a morning thing for me. Like early in the morning,
Yep.
Like if I'm sitting outside or like we're on, dropped or we're out in the middle of the mountains and stuff, like that's one of the best cups of coffee, just like enjoying it. And yeah, I mean, taste wise, but I'm more for the caffeine.
Yeah.
I just need so much caffeine in my day. Half of my bloodstream is caffeine, so I just need extra.
Unreal.
So, yeah.
Well, we're going to get into a lot of fun stuff here, but I want to cover some stories that people always seem to want to hear that we never really have the opportunity to tell.
Yeah.
But first, and then we can be real quick on this. You went to Tyler Childers last night.
I did. I went to. That's why I need coffee right now. I drove home at 2:00 in the morning. Tyler Childers. What a concert!
How was it?
It was amazing. My daughter, she's a big fan. So am I. Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was interesting. So it was at Pine Knob. So it was all these people and It's a 2-hour drive down. I had to come back last night, so we didn't get back until late. But it was interesting not going and just like tailgating and partying all that. Like we just went and actually enjoyed the concert, you know, and had a beer, and it was fun.
Remembered it?
Remembered the whole thing, which was good. So that's a changing evolution for me. And then I think he's an 8-piece band, right? So it's a different type of concert. Like you go to Kid Rock. We've been to Kid Rock many times at Pine Knob. Like, I mean, it's like, but he's singing soulful 8-piece, like keyboard. So it's an interesting crowd to have that many people like listening to that type of music. Yeah, it was really interesting. But God, man, he has Can't Take My Hounds to Heaven. And I mean, I can't help but almost tear up every time because I think of Ernie. Yeah. And he has the line where it's like, if I can't take him to heaven, he's like, I'll load my dog bucks up and go to hell with all my friends. And I just think that is like, that line is just like, I mean, I don't know, there's something about it, but I always think of Ernie when I hear that song. He's a legend and a mentor and all the other stuff.
And Bushsavvy as hell.
I mean, he is like the definition of it when you look at him, you know, pictures of him. But anyway, it was amazing. So we got back late and here we are.
So now we're having cowboy coffee.
Now I'm trying to just get my lips around this cup.
Such a hot cup.
Such a hot cup.
Smelted it right before you got here.
Such a hot cup.
Ernie is a great segue into Bushsavvy because that dude is as legendary as they come. And I want to first start with, just in your mind, I want to talk Bushsavvy because I know you have got plenty of familiarity with the term, much like I do. So I really just want to ask you right out of the gate.
Yep.
What does Bushsavvy stand for in your mind?
It's a great question. I think in my mind, I always thought of Bushsavvy as like, if you put us in a scenario, I think that you have to be smart enough for your surroundings, prepared enough to do the right thing, to be bush savvy. Not like, I don't consider us survivalists. Maybe I'm off, like survivalists, like where it's like, oh, you're going to go out and you're going to survive. No, I think that you can put us in any situation and we're going to find a way to be savvy enough, in my mind, to get out of it or to be cautious about what we're going to do next. And so for me, it was always just being bush savvy. To me, felt like you were prepared, you were ready, you were studied up, you were, you know, just aware.
Right.
That I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like that was the thing. But like we look at things differently. Yep. I don't know. That's just my kind of definition.
You're spot on, and I'm just trying to give listener.
Yeah. Listener.
Just trying to give listener a little reference just on the frame of mind of Bushsavvy, and you hit the nail on the head. To me, it's the willingness, the grit, the confidence, the determination, the positioning, the preparation to just figure shit out.
Yeah, just get it done.
I'm going to get into it and I'm going to figure it out. That doesn't mean I'm not going to take my lumps and get my ass beat along the way. Of course.
Yeah.
Because many a times we've come out of the backcountry or we've come out of situations, we've had our ass beat. Yeah. But we're still going.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. We've been worked. But I think that's the savvy part of it is like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's mentally tough as much as it's physically tough. Yep. It's all the things that roll up into a ball that's like, well, I don't have a choice but to push forward. Right. And you just become savvy in that scenario. I don't know how to explain that other than just experience.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head is you figure it out.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there, I think, and part of what I'm looking to do with this show, there's a lot of people out there that are bush savvy. They may not know it, and they've probably never heard that term, but maybe they'll come to know it as that, right?
Yeah.
Trying to shine a light on really interesting people doing really interesting shit.
I love it.
And people that are, willing to just say, in my life, I said, fuck it, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where they went.
I love it, man. So that's what it's about to me. Figure it out. There's a lot of times over our careers together that it's like, I don't know. Figure it out. Like,
yeah,
we're going no matter what. I'll figure it out. Yeah. Like, we'll figure it out together. So it's like, that's kind of been a mantra of ours. Yeah. You only know from experience. If you don't experience it, how are you going to know? Yep. So at the end of the day,
that's exactly
you go forward.
I look back and on the very first dropped, all those years ago. I mean, hell, we're over. You getting
it's
down?
Good depth now. Yeah, we're dialed in. We're dialed.
It's
That's good coffee too.
Orange
I don't know what kind of coffee that is. But that's good coffee too.
Special bush
coffee. Yeah. I like it.
No, I look back at that very first season of Dropped, and one of the things that I think about is like our mindset going into that, that entire trip, that entire adventure was basically like, we don't know what's going to happen with this thing, but we're damn sure willing to find out. So let's go.
Yeah, man, I look back at that first one too, like that anxiety. I don't know if I've ever felt that again. That I don't know how to, it's that deep inside your soul anxiety level,
right?
Like is so high. I can still remember standing on the tarmac and like the nerves that were running through my body. Like that was the first time. Okay, so welcome to Alaska. You're going to the Brooks Range for a month. Yep. Oh, and don't take food. Good luck. See you when we get out. Like that's like that was it. Like
the pilot laughed at us.
Yeah, like I had gone there and fished once. Like that was it. Like that was my first experience. Go to Alaska, get in the Brooks Range, like of that. So it was like that anxiety level in that first season was whoa. It was like, and probably what the addiction became. Like, because like I can remember doing it and being like, whatever this feeling is better than anything I've ever done in my life. Right. Like I need to keep whatever this is going.
Those feelings are so crazy complicated because I think it's anxiety. I think it's anticipation. I think it's excitement. Mm-hmm. I think it's, part of like, what in the hell am I about to get myself into? But I don't know. For me, I feed off that,
That's what has kept us going, I think, ever since that time. Like, I think the adrenaline and just that fear of the unknown and what's going to happen, it's like, it's probably guided our whole careers, honestly.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways it definitely has. And I think, Dropped overall, so, to set the premise for Dropped, if there's people out there that aren't familiar with the show.
Sure.
Chris and I head into the backcountry, usually Alaska. We've done Alaska, we've done New Zealand, we've done Saskatchewan, we've done the Yukon. For me, it's Alaska.
It's Alaska.
Yeah, it's Alaska.
Yeah.
Always will be.
Yeah.
But we head into the backcountry. We head into the bush for an extended period of time. We don't take any food. As we get older, maybe that starts to change.
Slip a little peanut butter in there.
I've proven to myself that I can do it time and time and time again. So that may change as we go forward. But, the idea is when we get out there, we have nothing to rely on but our instincts, right?
Yeah.
We go in with a limited set of gear that we know can help us get the job done, that we trust in, but we have nothing to rely on but our instincts. And part of that is, being savvy enough to figure it out.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
I was born definitely not in the Brooks Range. We were born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Awesome town, awesome community, great place to grow up, but it was by no means the wilds of Alaska.
Not even close. We had some mountains. I mean, we had some good mountains in PA, but they were rolling hills in comparison to the Brooks Range.
And so the thing with Dropped and where I was going with that is every single trip is like a microcosm of life, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, let's say we're out there for, let's call it 30 days. It's kind of the standard that we look to go for. Over the course of those 30 days, man, you are as high as you can possibly get, and you are lower than you've ever thought you could possibly be.
Yeah.
And that can happen within an hour.
Yeah.
That can happen within
so fast
20 minutes. The highs and lows, the ebbs and flows, those twists and turns and changes. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Man plans, God laughs, that kind of shit.
Oh, yeah.
It just happens to us all the time out there. So I want to talk a little bit about the microcosm of life and just kind of that Dropped and those ebbs and flows and those journeys. I just want your take on what that's like.
Yeah. No, I think, especially on Dropped, again, it's mental. You got to be prepared for anything. And so it's a lot of those ebbs and flows, and you have to be willing to be humbled, like at any given time, whether that's in life or that's in whatever. I feel like you have to be willing to be like told like something that you weren't prepared for. And Mother Nature out there does it for you. Like Mother Nature, just like there's nothing that can control it.
Mother Nature doesn't ask.
No, she doesn't. Like when she says you're leaving Alaska, you're leaving. There's no question. Like she doesn't say, well, maybe boom, she hits storms, all the things that come in. I mean, it's the ups and downs, ebbs and flows. But if you go in, as they say, prepare for the worst, right? And hope for the best.
Yep.
And that's, I think, is a good dichotomy, because preparing for the worst, you're thinking about things, you're really getting into it, and hoping for the best, that's a perspective. And I love that part of it, like just even in life in general as well. It's like hope for the best. Like if you have the positive perspective of like, we're going to get through this, we're going to do it. Then when the bad shit comes, you try to find that positive in it. Then you're like, all right, we can get through this.
Right.
And I think that's what's good about having two of us too. Like we can be two different people. And when we get into a situation, we can be one with two different, like, so it's like we can become one. I think that's important.
Yep.
We're lucky in that sense.
Prepare for the worst, hope for the best is something I think we live by when we're out there. There's a couple of sayings that we always talk about. That's one of them. Now, I think you'd agree with this. Hope isn't a strategy.
No.
But you can definitely hope for the best. Right?
Yeah.
Outside of that, think twice, act once.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. Basically, these little key frames that we've come to live by when we're out there. And here's the really interesting thing. When I talk about drop being a microcosm of life, it's basically somebody's lifetime smashed into 30 days.
Yeah.
The ups and downs, the highs and lows, twists and turns. There's a lot of lessons that you can take from that, at least that I've learned over the years, that I try to bring back to pavement, I like to call it. Sure. I try to take those lessons and apply them to everyday life, whether it's family life or work life or anything else that I might be doing back here on pavement. So do you have in your mind, is there one lesson to you that sticks out over the course of our time in the backcountry, our course of time in the bush, that you can point to and be like, man, I learned so much when that happened?
Yeah. Wow. There's so many things that have happened to us, and I've learned so many lessons out there. Like it's a hard question to boil down. I think if I was to take all the experiences, and I've said this before, you know, you and I just talking, if I was to put one saying on top of all the experience, like the one thing that I've taken is that you cannot be upset with the results of the work you didn't put in. Sure. And I think for me, when I'm in the bush, you can't be upset if you didn't get a moose, or you didn't, like, if you didn't put the work in first, you're not going to be successful. Right. If you didn't do the research, if you didn't figure out, you know, how to do these things right, if you decided you were going to go chase a moose 3 miles off a river for absolutely no reason, and then it struggled and you couldn't, and then you end up getting hurt, you can't be upset with that, because that's a stupid move. And so I think that whole thing of you cannot be upset with the results of the work you didn't put in. If you put the work in and you do the right thing out there, you will be successful. And so I think of all that I've learned, because there's times where it's like, well, we haven't gotten that moose, or he's so far up there and it really pisses me off. And then I'm like, well, then put the work in to go get him, or don't. Right. But don't be upset with the result that you're not going. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
don't sit there bitter at the end of the day.
Exactly. Like, what am I going to do? Sit here and be pissed off that I didn't go do my own, like, you know what I mean? I didn't push myself. So it's like, at that point, you just have to kind of back up and be like, okay. So I think that's like one thing that I've learned from the entire deal is just put the work in. Yeah. If you put the work, get up in the morning, build the fires, cut the wood, do the thing, like, learn these animals prior. I mean, what amazes me about what you do is just the amount of work you put in ahead, like, of these things, like just knowing the rivers, the curves, the bends, like the rapids, where they're coming from. I mean, and so it's like, to me, that's impressive, because it helps us, but it's also, when the time comes, it's like, I know that this is up here. Right. You already know what's coming, and so you're prepared. Yep. So,
well, there's two ways that I look at the work, right? You've got strong back, strong mind. You got two different ways to work, in my opinion, in life, on the hunt, whatever it is. And for me, I've just always been the kind of guy, I roll, you know, if you give me 8 hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend the first 6 sharpening the axe, right? And so that's kind of a lot of my mindset, and I believe in preparation and positioning and having those things right as we go in. Yeah. And I think that's why, as a team, we play so well. I like to do a lot of that up front. I like to do a lot of the preparation, the positioning. This is what we could encounter and what we could get into. And then I think when we get into that moment where you pull through is, let's fucking roll.
Yeah, let's just go.
It's time to go. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're not going to go out and around. We're going to go up and over.
Yeah. I've had a problem with that whole think twice, act once thing. I just act once, think after. Like, I don't, like, that's been our whole thing, is we've been able to, and sometimes it's successful and other times it's a blow up, and that's happened, but that's expected. You're as long as at the end of the day, no matter what the blow up is, you can come back and burn your lips off on a cup of coffee and talk, then you're fine, you know, and then we've been able to do that.
Peanut butter jelly, ham and egg. Yeah. Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Back and forth.
It works.
Yeah.
Results. You bring up something that's cool. Results. Let's talk about results. I want to talk about how you're a 3-time runner-up in the Brooks Range Gravel Games. You want to talk about the gravel games a little bit?
The gravel games. You know, it's funny. I was just watching this the other day on my phone. I was trying to think. I was going to post something, and I scrolled through drop stuff, and there's the left-handed games.
Oh yeah, that's the left-handed toss.
The left-handed toss, and there's one video, and I don't know if I can get it to you guys. Jameson, who was on the trip, like 11 crow hops. Like he couldn't get the trick trigger out, and so he just kept crow hopping about 11 times, and then finally the left hand fired, and I was crying watching it. Like it's so funny.
I don't care how big and bad you think you are.
Yeah.
I don't care how much of an athlete you think you are, how tough you think you are.
Yeah.
If you want to feel wildly inferior, here's what I challenge you to do right now. I want you, and I want you to tag us. I want you to post this. I want you to put it on social media.
Yeah.
I want you to go out, and I want you to film yourself. Get a baseball.
Yeah.
And I want you to go, if you're a righty, you're going to do it left-handed.
Yeah.
I want you to try and chuck that baseball as hard and as far as you possibly can. If you're really up for a challenge and you really want to feel and look stupid, film it in frame rate. Let's make sure you slow motion this thing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But there's just something about it that is wildly hysterical. Get your friends, get your wife, get your kids. Everybody is going to want to watch you do this because we do it on Dropped. We do it every year. It's part of the gravel games. And we laugh. And it usually comes at a time.
Oh, yeah. We need it.
Where we need it.
Yeah,
where we need it really, really bad. When things are not going our way, we really need the offhanded toss.
I'm just thinking about, like, you know, you're up in the spotting scope. You've been there for about 4.5 hours. There's nothing going on. And then you just kind of look over and you go, will you throw something left-handed for me, please? Like, so I can film it. And there begins the gravel games of like, well, how far can you throw it? And it's either straight down in the ground or it's so high up in the air, you know. And as baseball players, like the right hand, all day long, but you give me that left hand, and we don't know where it's going. It's sailing.
And we're talking. I mean, so we played baseball growing up, and obviously we traded baseball for hockey at some point. But we go out there with some ball players. JB's a ball player.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he played some high quality ball.
Yep.
He's like a regular old Paul Skeens out there. Right? You watch him throw, it's like, damn.
Yeah.
And then you put it in his other hand.
Yep.
And no matter how good you think you are, I'm telling you,
nope.
It usually starts with trying to throw it as far as we can, and then it's like, all right, now we're going to get into accuracy.
Oh, yeah.
Right, now we're going to aim for the little island in the middle of the river or whatever it might be. And it's just a riot. You know, it just shows you that you got to find a silver lining. You got to learn to laugh, right? You got to stare adversity in the face and laugh.
You have to. And then if you play with a bat and you're playing soft touch there where you can just throw the rock up. You get a couple different things there. First you have to whittle the bat. So what a time suck, right? Like you're there. I mean, we are whittling a bat. I mean, that is a thing. I mean, when we get that bat done, it's like the natural. Like it's Roy Hobbs lightning number 9 on the side of it. It's ready to go. And then we, start that soft toss and that first one breaks the bat. It's like, now we got to start all over again. But boy, we just killed 3.5 hours and it's just funny. So the gravel games are the best.
Well, we do it every year. Sometimes we film it, sometimes we don't. But I think what we might have to start doing is capturing the official gravel games.
Oh yeah,
and we'll see.
I got a couple sneaky ones on my phone. It's
good. I got some pictures. I don't have.
I have video. Yeah, I have video. It's funny. There's the crow hop one just got me because he just couldn't, it wouldn't fire. It's like you're going to fire your right-handed, you throw it. It's like he couldn't get it to fire, so it just kept crow hopping across the gravel, and I was dying. So
I got to watch
really
it.
Funny.
I can't wait
I'll show
to
it
see
to you. It's good.
Well, speaking of fun and funny, we're kind of nearing the end here of some of the stuff, but I brought a little, I call bag of secrets.
Oh, the secrets.
So I want you to reach into the bag of secrets and just pull something out. Just dig around in there.
All right. Dig around. Are you going to bite
pull
me?
Pull something out.
Bite me?
Well, keep digging. Just dig around. There's some stuff in there. If you find something you want to pull out, what do you think those are?
Oh my God, dude! These are your original Orvis gloves.
Oh yeah.
These I can, okay. Let me put it on. Who wears these still?
I do.
He wears these.
Yep.
Actually wears these. This is just about as insane as throwing away the first fish. Look at this.
No, there's
you got to get a little.
Get under this thread.
A pinky.
There's a thread. Yeah. Well, don't rip it.
Oh yeah. We wouldn't want to rip it any more than it already is.
Don't rip it.
There we go. Much better. That's much better.
That right there is. Those gloves have been doing what we've been doing in the backcountry since I found them when I was 12?
You were. I
was like 12 years old.
Did you find them at the Yellow Creek Trout Club?
I did.
I remember that.
We used to belong to this trout club in Pennsylvania growing up called Yellow Creek. The place is incredible. Actually, they're still running it.
Yeah, we got to fish there soon.
We do.
We really need to go back and fish.
I caught some big fish there.
Big fish.
Big old fish.
Yeah.
But I found those gloves and found them outside the pavilion. I'll never forget. They were so awesome. They didn't look like that.
No.
They were a little bit newer, but I found those gloves and Chucko, our old man, was like, you leave them here, you put a note on them, it says you found them, if they're still here the next time we come back, you can have them.
Yeah.
And I did. And we didn't go back for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And we went back and they were still sitting there with the note on them. So
I remember you wore them all over because, I mean, how do you not recognize those gloves?
Yeah.
Those are crazy, man.
What else we got in there? We got time maybe to dig around for one more.
What else we got?
Maybe dig in there and just kind of reach in. See what you got in the box.
Oh, my God. Here it is. Yes. This is
Why don't you tell everybody what that is?
This is the Yukon mask. Is this the one from the Yukon?
It's one of them. Yeah.
One of the ones from the Yukon. So this is
the
what do they call it? It's La Lucha Libre or whatever.
Yeah, El Nacho Libre.
El Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
This is oddly enough. I just saw Jeff Schuster is a good friend of ours. El Jefe. And he hunts with us now in Ohio. And we were going to the Yukon for a long time. That was our longest trip.
Oh, yeah.
Weather and 40 some days or whatever. We were stuck in the Yukon.
That was an ass beater.
Yeah, that was an ass beater. And for whatever reason, before we left, Jefe was over at the house or whatever, and he snuck in these masks and with a note that said, "When times get tough, have fun or smile or whatever." And I can remember sitting on the side of a mountain, burning a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
didn't start as a tree.
It didn't start as a tree, but burned it. And look over, and someone's wearing one of these masks, Jason or you or something. And then it just started, and then the snow hit, and here's 3 idiots out in the middle of the Yukon wearing wrestling masks, getting out there.
Glassing for
moose with wrestling masks on, looking through the binos with this on.
That is, there you go. There it is right there.
How's that?
She's a little snug. There you go.
Oh, yes.
Right there. Yeah.
Solid.
Burn the barrel with that thing. Look at the mask. There it is.
There it is right there.
That right there is another perfect example of the shit we do to smile in the face of adversity when we're out there, because the part of that story that I think is incredible is it snowed on us.
Yeah, it was pouring. It was hammering.
Snowed for, I think, 3 or 4 days straight. I mean, it dumped feet of snow. So much snow that we were starting to kind of get concerned about the horses.
Oh, yeah.
And if they were actually going to be able to, eat. I mean, we had to get them to the high willows to feed them and all that kind of stuff. But, just when shit looked like it was going way downhill, kind of breathed life back into the hunt. So big shout out to El Jefe. I'll throw a note out there about El Jefe.
Yeah.
He is probably the greatest, brightest human spirit I know when it comes to stuff like this.
It's unreal. I mean, one time he sent me a picture. He had a bear head helmet.
Do you know why he bought that?
Didn't the kids or something?
No.
Well, I don't know what it was.
No, we were going to Alaska and we were going to go fishing.
Oh, that's right.
We were going to go salmon fishing.
We went to the
Kenai.
Yeah, we went to the Kenai. And he was coming.
He was going to go.
Yeah.
He ended up he's a pilot, and he ended up having to go fly somewhere. But he was going to come to the Kenai, so naturally he bought a bear helmet.
Yeah, why wouldn't he?
To wear in the boat while we fished. So
it's fantastic.
Oh, he's an absolute riot. So big shout out to El Jefe for the masks, and maybe we'll get him on here to talk about the adventures.
He's been hunting with us in Ohio, and he killed a buck this year, and so we got the film of it. So it'll be fun to show.
He and I have talked about we may try to find a way to bring this to life, even if it's for one little episode. We've obviously got dropped where we fly into the backcountry and go do our thing. Well, now that El Jefe is a pilot, we may try and do what we're calling propped.
Propped.
See what we did there?
See what you did there.
Propped.
Nice.
We're going to fly around and go fly fishing in some badass locations around the world.
That sounds like
maybe we'll go to Belize. Maybe we'll go chase giant trevally, Christmas Island, and we'll figure somewhere.
That sounds fantastic.
But
actually,
we'll get Jefe on to talk about that. Speaking of fish, one last story I want to touch on real quick, and that is how pissed off you get every single time.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I let the first fish go. I've been doing this. This is not a surprise. Here's the thing.
No, it's not a surprise.
This doesn't come out of nowhere. This is not like it's never happened before.
No. I mean, the first time, obviously, it threw me off.
Yeah, but
now,
time,
11 seasons later, I'm like, oh my, I don't get it.
Sticks in your craw.
It does. Because again, I love your reasoning.
If people aren't familiar,
if you're not familiar, go, tell them what this is.
It's pretty simple. I've been doing this since I was a kid. Every time we go on a trip where we're trying to survive or live off the land, and we want the land to provide for us, when I catch the first fish, I let that fish go. Even if we've been 2 or 3 or 4 days without food, it doesn't matter. I let that first fish go. My mindset on that is if I give back to Mother Nature, Mother Nature's going to give back to me. Pretty plain and simple. Doesn't always work out, but the mindset is the mindset.
This is the absolute epitome of Casey and I, like, and our like different thought process, which is what I love. Casey is, if I give back to that, it will give back to me.
Yep.
And mine is, it just gave to you. It just gave you a fish that's right there. And so then it's like, so if you eat it, then you're not hungry anymore. Hence, it just gave it to you. So there's, and that's the process of thinking through everything versus like, just eat the fish. Like that's, and so we have that, And oh man, I'm pretty good with it knowing like we're in Alaska sometimes. Like, I'm like, all right, yeah, like I get it. Like I can see another salmon, but there was that one when we were on like, and we only had like 3 fish the whole time, and it was a grayling, like the boniest things ever.
That's terrible.
And everyone's like laying, oh, I got my stomach, I'm so hungry, and you're like, oh, got one, and I'm like, oh, and then you're like, kabloosh, right back in, and I'm like, what the? And it just took us like 2 hours to catch this grayling, and you're like, we'll get another one. I'm like, we're literally dying over here. We had one. Like, we just had one. I don't get this, and then that starts something. So yeah, it's fun.
I think the first time on Dropped you ever snapped, if I remember right, and we'll have to dig and see if we can find this clip, but if I remember right, it started off like face-to-face grumbling, and you were pissed, and I think that was your argument.
Yeah.
And it turned to, he was like, he went over behind like the willows, and I could hear like, I had no idea what he was saying, but I knew he was pretty pissed off.
Yeah, and I was slapping the willows like that was going to help.
Anger.
Like anger. It was coming out.
Sheer anger.
It was pure anger. It was coming out. But
the best part is as brothers, I'll keep letting the first fish go, and you'll keep being pissed off.
That's just how it works.
Yep.
That's how it's worked.
And that's how it goes.
Yep.
You know, overall, I just want to end with one final question. And this is a really interesting question. This is one that I'm going to ask everybody that comes on this podcast, and we'll see what kind of answers we get out of it. If you were cut from a cloth, what cloth would you be cut from and why? Loaded question. I did not predetermine this with him, by the way.
No, you did not do that. So I have to pick a type of cloth.
Yep. If you were cut from a cloth.
I'm going to say I have 2 in mind. One I'm a little bit hesitant of. I'll go with that one. GoreTex. I think GoreTex. I think because if I was GoreTex, I mean, you just got to let shit run off your back. Like you can't absorb it because it'll just eat you alive. So I think with GoreTex, obviously being waterproof, you just got to just let it go. Let shit run off your back and just be impenetrable, I guess.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Not going to lie.
Yeah, I'd say GoreTex.
GoreTex is a treatment.
Yeah.
They put on a fabric.
But
we'll go with GoreTex.
Whatever that is what I'd be.
We'll go with GoreTex.
Isn't GoreTex an actual like lining or like a
fabric?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a treatment.
Is it really?
We can look that up, but I'm pretty sure it's a
I
treatment.
thought Gore was like what it's made of on the inside. If this is true, this is fucked. Like my whole mind is blown if that's true. I always thought Gore was like the inner lining of something.
I'm pretty sure it's the treatment. Maybe it's how they build the fabric, but we're going to look into that. We're going to figure that out.
So then it's more about the technology of Gore on canvas is what I'd like. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. How about that?
Canvas covered in
Gore is what I am. Tough, durable, and let that shit run off your back.
It's awesome. I love that question because we get answers just like that.
Yeah.
It's not predetermined. It just makes you think, and it makes you think in a hurry, and it makes you kind of reach deep down and try to find out exactly who you are and sum that up in about.
Yeah, apparently not versed on fucking fabrics is where I'm at.
Nobody really is. I mean, let's be honest. I don't see you rolling around Joann's on a regular basis.
Joann's.
So, I started this entire episode, gave everybody a little intro on Bushsavvy, and then I dove into a poem that's had a huge inspiration for me, which is the Robert Service. I know you know this poem, The Men That Don't Fit In. I think I've thoroughly enjoyed our time together as brothers, our time together in the backcountry, our time uncovering and discovering what it is like to be bush savvy.
Yeah, man.
And I think that, each of us in our own right has done a hell of a job being a man that doesn't necessarily fit in. So thank you for being the first guest here on the very first edition of the Bushsavvy podcast.
Man, it's been an honor. I'm excited for this. I'm excited for what you're doing. I think it looks amazing, and man, I support everything you got. This is incredible. I think you got a lot of amazing stories to tell, and I'm glad you got a microphone to do it. So proud of you, brother.
Cool. Much appreciated. So that's it for everybody. Last thing I want to say just on the podcast overall here is, if you're out there listening to this podcast, I challenge you to kind of take a look at your own life right now. Take a look at your own circumstances, work, family, hobbies, fun, play, hunts, whatever it might be. And kind of like I talked about at the beginning of the episode, what can you take? What habits do you have right now? What can you take and let go of or be dragged? That's something that I touched on at the beginning of this episode, something I challenge everyone to do. You'd be shocked how it changes your outlook on things and starts to make you a little bit more bush savvy piece by piece. So if you feel like you connected with today's episode, head on over to the YouTube channel at Bushsavvy and subscribe. Check out Chris at Chris Keefer, bro.
Yep.
Check us out at the BeAlive channels across the social media stuff. And then also you can find me on Instagram at Casey Keefer, bro, and at Bushsavvy. So if you loved the episode, let me know.
Yeah.
If you hated the episode, let me know.
Let me know.
Right?
Let us know.
Yep. Exactly. I want to know it all. So that's it. Signing off for today. First edition of Bushsavvy in the books. Remember, folks, answer the call.
Love it.